And we're on. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the LFC transfer room. Just wanted to let you all know Willem was nearly late because he was rolling the joints. Just wanted to get that out there and tell everyone that straight away. But yeah, all good. How is everyone? Yeah, everyone who's watching, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Have all your notifications on for the future streams. Really does help out. Every single day, 7:30 p.m. on UK time. As I said, just please make sure to hit like and subscribe. We've got plenty to go through. A lot of breaking news has happened in the past few hours. It's been a very busy day from our perspective, even though technically we're not involved in anything. But before the whirlwind of everything in the summer, everything that's going on, we're in a bit of a strange position where so many things are happening at other clubs, and we're just linked to all of them. So we're going to go through them. Willem, you're good. Are you all? Are you with us?
Yeah, all sorted. I am here. I am present. I am conscious. Don't worry. It's all fine. But yeah, no, all good. I haven't really been able to really catch up with most of the news due to work, to be fair. So I've only just had a quick peek. But it's been an interesting day.
Yeah, it's you know what that is like the best way to sort of sum it up. It has been a very interesting day in some senses of the word. Race, all good?
Other than the fact that it's snowing where I am, yeah, I'm pretty good.
That's it, yeah. How heavy is the snow?
Not too bad, just a few inches, but it's I thought we were past winter over here, but I guess not.
It's the same over here, but we don't get snow. We get the before. You know, weather over here is really grim at the minute. Dean, how are you?
Yeah, no, not too bad, mate. Just a note, we'd never get past winter here, do we? Let's be brutally honest. Just in regards to, there was also a little rumour going around on Twitter. I know we won't give it too much attention because I don't think it was true. So I'm still calming down from that. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I won't mention it. About
is it a particular like an injury that we don't know if it's an injury?
I'm hoping it's not true. It doesn't look like it is, but I'm not going to give it too much attention, like I say. So I've just got over that. Hopefully that's the case. But yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, not too bad.
That's a junior. As I say, nice and chill tonight. A lot of stuff to get through. The injury talk does come into it a little bit later on. We will get to that. That is a big part of today's topics. But I mean, we'll start off with the first one. It's the sort of the big. I don't want to say breaking news because it's not breaking news. It's just something it's talked about every single day. It's Xabi Alonso now. There's been a lot of discussion in our group on WhatsApp and all discussions that Alonso he's in talks with Bayern Munich. Some people are saying that he's interested. Some people are saying he's not. Some people are saying that he wants to go. Some are saying that he finds it offensive that he's being linked at this point in the title race. Some of their players are linked to Bayern. I mean, Willem, what's your initial thoughts on the news that Xabi Alonso is in talks with Bayern Munich, and at the moment it could go either way?
My initial thought is the Jude saga is back, baby, but it's called Xabi saga now, and that's pretty much it. But no, honestly, I think at this point, I think it might almost be a combination of the interest from Bayern is obviously there. They're also considering him as a candidate in there. I'm more on the side that I almost feel like it's one last goal at trying to destabilize them a bit before kind of the last 10 games come in for the run-in for the Bundesliga. So I think it's kind of got a bit of more to do with that. If you look at the sources who are reporting it, I mean, literally the two sources closest to Bayern, which are Florian Plettenberg and Christian Falk, are saying two completely opposite things. So I just take everything with a pinch of salt right now. Today it could be Bayern propping up mega news. Tomorrow it could be our sources all of a sudden claiming the other.
Raise the same question to you then. I mean, it is a good point that even the people who are close to Bayern don't know which way this is going. In your eyes, which direction do you see this going for Xabi Alonso? It's a bit of a broad question, but what's your take on it?
It's honestly disgusting how that league operates with Bayern just picking up the best players and managers in that league. I mean, we know how it is, so it's no surprise at all to see them have some concrete interest in Xabi Alonso, and I'm sure there's discussions going on. I wouldn't doubt that. I would say it's anyone's guess what his actual direction is and what he where he wants to go. Obviously the pitch for us and Liverpool fans, it's a much better situation for us because with Bayern, I mean, what's the real challenge of going to Bayern? I mean, they've won the league the last 10 years. Leverkusen likely to win it this year. But even going back there, I mean, it just shows such a lack of ambition for him to go there. And I think obviously him playing for us, and he played for Bayern as well, but playing for us, he recognizes the special culture that we have, and especially what's been built up under Jurgen Klopp. And so, it's definitely going to go down to, I mean, we're still flying in our position. We're still playing well, and Bayern are sort of cracking for the first time, because it finally looks like, I mean, still much of the season to go, but it looks like they're going to miss out on the league for the first time in 10 years. And so they're starting to kind of show their colors there. And even when they've been winning the league, they're cycling through managers because the Champions League has also been a priority for them, and they haven't really gotten over the hump except for the COVID season, which kind of if you want to talk about the legitimacy of that trophy, do what you will, but it's just kind of a mess over there because there's just such a high expectation. And while we have high expectations as well, we've shown that we'll give you more, we'll be more patient with you, give you more time, and just be more willing to help out, and recognize that Xabi Alonso is still a relatively new manager as well. He's only been at the top level for a few years, and so it's obviously he's the hot name right now. We want to bring him in, but it's hard to say what he'll do. I certainly hope he'll come to us. I think we all hope that, but it's just impossible to tell just for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point that you make there, and like it is too early to say. So I've got a load of the statements and a lot of the quotes here in front of me now, and there's a lot of different, like Willem said, like contradicting reports. So Dean, I'll read these out to you and just get your thoughts on them. So the first one is saying that Bayern Munich are still waiting for a signal from Xabi Alonso as to whether or not he's available for concrete negotiations. This hasn't happened yet. Apparently, we've sent an inquiry directly to Alonso's agent, who's let Bayer Leverkusen know. One thing that's stopping it, or could be a factor, is that Bayern Munich would have to pay a higher fee than us because they are direct rivals to Leverkusen. So that's something that's going to factor into it. And then another one is coming out and saying that apparently Bayer Leverkusen are very irritated by recent reports that talks have taken place. The coach's alleged willingness to move to Bayern Munich for a potential compensation fee. They know nothing about any discussions. Bayern also firmly reject that they've held negotiations. So both sides of the coin again. What's your take on this whole situation? Do you think it's just people trying to get clicks, or do you think there is any sort of truth to them?
Smoke and mirrors, clicks, all of the above, and it could very well be a case of Alonso saying, "I'm not interested in anything till the season's done," and because there's nothing there, everyone's trying to get any type of scenario from a little bits of information. You know what I mean? Any rumors, they'll make a big thing. I reckon he holds a small interest in going there because who wouldn't? He hasn't come out and dismissed it. He's had numerous opportunities to do so. Doesn't mean it's his preferred destination. He's not going to rule out one of the biggest clubs in the world, let's be brutally honest. But like just those two reports, when you're on about it constantly trying to disrupt what Leverkusen are doing. Another report came out today about Frimpong potentially going there in the summer. That now he disrupting the players as well as the manager. It's standard Bayern. They did it with Leipzig, didn't they, a few years ago when they got Nagelsmann. This is what they do. They just try to poach anybody who challenges them. I like to think that Alonso will not follow the same path because we don't know what his long-term aspirations are. That's the key. We don't know what he wants to do with his career. But Bayern Munich is looking at a less attractive proposition now to an up-and-coming manager. Yes, it's still Bayern Munich, still the biggest club in Germany, but it's becoming a rebuild job the way it is, especially in regards to Champions League and whatnot. They got some parts of it as an aging squad with the likes of Muller, Goretzka's getting into his 30, Kimmich is 29, and then you've got unsettled players like De Ligt. Obviously, Neuer's obviously in his 30s as well. There's Leroy Sané and Gnabry's contracts problems as well going on. There's holes in the squad. Come on, Eric Dyer plays for them, for God's sake. It just screams problems. As much as they will be fixed because we've got the money to do so, it's not something just to walk in and just roll with it. As I've said before, we're more attractive to an up-and-coming manager because it's stability. We've got a stable squad as it stands. Yes, okay, there's a couple of question marks for the summer, but they aren't as big of question marks as their squad is, just because the sheer age of it and the instability of some of the players that want to go. I think just for now, it is all going to be like little bits after the weekend, and the start of the weekend is going to be like, oh, Alonso's hinted he might be interested. Oh, Alonso's agent he's also said, oh, it would be nice. You know what I mean? Little bits especially from Bayern Munich journalists who have big connections, because it's just trying to do anything they can, desperation to disrupt their season. So the big thing from us is there's nothing there. I know some people take that as a concern. We all do to a point. But we do our best work when we don't say anything. It means things are moving along slowly or things are moving along nicely. So hopefully at the end of it, it just comes out at the right time to suit all parties that we've got a man. He wants to come to us, and we're doing it out of respect by not saying anything, because Leverkusen will be like, we respect that, hence why the fee's going to be lower. All this noise coming out, if you're Leverkusen, say, yeah, Alonso can go, you got to give us 30, 40 million. Just to be arses, they'll make it so much harder for Alonso to go there. Even though if he wants that, he would get there, but it's going to be a lot harder for Munich to prize him away. Whereas with us, we'll still have to pay a fee. That will still be the case. They're not going to lose their greatest manager for the last decade for free, but they're going to be more welcoming because we'll do things the right way.
Well, I mean, is there not a case, and I know we're a Liverpool channel, obviously, we want Alonso to come to us, but just to play the sort of devil's advocate from his perspective, and I'll pass this sort of around to everyone. Willem, I'll go to you first of it. Dean mentioned there, like, we're in a stable position, and Bayern, obviously, they've got an aging squad. They're a bit of a mess on and off the pitch, but in the same breath, I mean, we're losing our backroom staff. We don't know who's going to be the sporting director or who's going to be up above that. He's not, if Alonso comes to us, let's be real, he's not going to get the funding that he would at Bayern Munich, where they can just go over to Leverkusen and say, we'll take Frimpong, we'll take like all of your squad basically to come to Bayern Munich, where you're going to be able to play the system you want with the players in a league which is a bit of a walk for you. Coming to Liverpool, you're going to have to try and take after Jurgen Klopp, which is a big task in its own, with a backroom staff that is constantly changing. I mean, is that something that could factor into it from his perspective, possibly?
I mean, it definitely could, but it kind of goes both ways as well, because I think if you look, especially in the comments from the past year, since Bayern have made the Harry Kane signing, that they've been very public in saying, we have spent a lot of money on one player. This is not a signing that we usually do. This is not something that we're planning for. And this is something that's going to affect our signings for January and for the seasons coming in, especially now with money possibly not coming in from winning the Bundesliga, from not getting the DFB Pokal, or maybe not even getting as far as the champion. Because obviously they play now in the Champions League a bit. If they get knocked out tonight, they're obviously not getting that normal revenue that they get from standard reaching the quarterfinals or the semifinals at least. So it does kind of go both ways with the jobs. I don't think necessarily. I think if you look at both of them, one is more we have a stable setup in the way our squad currently built up, but it's everything around it, which is kind of becoming a bit of a question mark. Whereas with Bayern, it's almost like they're actually sorting out their sporting director situation now with Erbel coming in, and kind of trying to stabilize obviously their higher up, like their management part more. Whereas they've just got a squad problem because they've got a lot of people whose contracts run out next year. Because we're in 2024, Willem. Well done. Sorry, I'm still in the mindset of 2025 is 2 years away because my head's still in 2023. But yeah, no. So they've obviously got a different issue as well from that aspect going into it. So I think each of the jobs bring problems into it. If it's me looking at it, thinking of how Xabi Alonso would think, I still stand by my point of saying I think Xabi Alonso is someone who will very much appreciate the chance Leverkusen have given him to build up himself as a manager. And I don't see him just instantly after having one good, not good, but almost great season for them, just all of a sudden getting up and moving to their biggest direct rivals in the same competition. So that is initially what I'm still clinging on to with the whole situation onto it. But both jobs have their question marks on it at the end of the day.
I mean, that is it, Race, is that as much as we want to think that we're in such a fantastic position. Like I said before, I think we are, but there's a lot of change. There's a lot of uncertainty. We're bringing in all these extra factors, which might be more of a deterrent or a detriment than they would be a benefit. Like I said, sporting director, backroom staff, all this stuff. For Alonso, who he's a smart man. Let's be honest. He's planned his career tactically. Real Sociedad B, moving up through the ranks, then going off to Leverkusen. Would you say for him, which job would be the easier job to go to in a sense for him?
Well, I think it'd be Bayern be the easier job for all the reasons that Willem just kind of laid out. Is
Yeah.
the funding that you have, the fact that he would be going Bayern's. I mean, this season Bayern's direct competitor for a title is Leverkusen, and now you leave that team to go to Bayern, which obviously weakens Leverkusen. I would imagine a couple players as well would go to Bayern as well. You directly weakening one of the biggest challengers. In the Bundesliga that Bayern have. I mean, the other ones, you think of like Dortmund or Leipzig, and they haven't really posed much of a threat. But, it's, we always make fun of the Bundesliga being the farmers league that, that it can be. Bayern winning the last 10 leagues. Whereas in the Premier League, even though, yes, City have won most of the leagues, in recent memory, but it's still up and down a much more competitive league. You have teams like Newcastle last year making the Champions League. You have Brighton, who's always been a pesky side. You have the relegation sides getting results against the bigger sides all the time. It's just such up and down, a much more deeper league, and even though we have our quote big six in the Premier League, I mean they've all shown, I think, even more over the past few years, just how vulnerable they can be. I mean, of course, you look at Chelsea and they're a mid-table side right now. Tottenham has struggled to get into Europe in the last few years. Arsenal just now, even before this run they're on, they were struggling too. They were out of Europe, I think, for a season or two, and so it's the Premier League is, we always talk about, it's such a physical league, such a top managers and whatnot. I mean, it would be so much more of a challenge for him to come to Liverpool than to go to Bayern. It seems like such an easy move to make. I mean, like I said, Bayern have been through managers, a number of managers over the years, and they still remained at the top. I mean, just what kind of, that only happens when the league is just such a cakewalk for you. You're head and shoulders above the rest of the league where you can do that. For Liverpool, for our job to open up, it's honestly the perfect timing for Alonso. I mean, he is at the peak of his, if he goes on to win the league with Leverkusen, I mean, his stock will never be any higher than that. I mean, if he even wants to stay at Leverkusen another year, I would almost bet that, Bayern again are going to be back on top the next season and get reinforcements again, maybe buying some of those Leverkusen players, and they're going to be right back at the top again. And Leverkusen, Xabi would have to, deal with in Champions League as well the next season, and kind of, you never know what's going to happen with better games and better competition. So you look at him. I mean, in terms of him leaving, I think it's almost certain that he will leave at the end of it this summer, whether it's for Bayern or Liverpool, obviously what we're discussing. But it's certainly a no-brainer in terms of a challenge. You come to Liverpool, you're going to have, even right now, we're in a 3-team title challenge. I mean, that is just incredible, and it's still March, and it'll, probably continue on for the next month or so. And so it's, and like you mentioned too, our funding isn't always there. Maybe the backing of the ownership, we don't always necessarily get. And then, of course, the number of changes were going on in the back room and whatnot. I mean, there's so many moving parts, but it's not necessarily a toxic thing like what Bayern have. It's just because our manager's leaving, everyone's just leaving at the end of whatever. So it's just kind of a reset that we're having to do. But the team, the squad is in place, everything like that. We'll certainly have money to spend. We'll buy some players and whatnot. But it's an easy choice in terms of wanting a challenge. It would be us, Liverpool.
Well, Dean, I mean, I think Willem and Race have been absolutely spot on with what they've been saying, and like I said, this is just a sort of playing both sides, sort of devil's advocate. Race mentioned then the constant changing of managers and stuff. Now, just to go through some of these managers that Bayern have had and got rid of over the past few seasons, some of them left, some of them are for different reasons, but so they've had Pep Guardiola, Carlo Ancelotti, Jupp Heynckes, Niko Kovac, Hansi Flick, Julian Nagelsmann. They're on Thomas Tuchel now. Like, Alonso going to Bayern is very much, he's just going to be a fly on, he's going to be a dot on the wall. There's a mural and he's going to get a bit of it. Whereas coming to us, there's a chance to do like what Klopp's done, and you get remembered fondly. Rafa gets remembered very fondly for the short time he was with us. Brendan Rodgers, yeah, he had his moments, but he probably still gets more respect from our fans than, say, like a Hansi Flick, not a Hansi Flick, but, you know, like a Julian Nagelsmann would at Bayern. Is that something else that could factor into this? Is how he's perceived by the fans? Maybe he just wouldn't be taken to by Bayern Munich fans like he would by us?
I think it's one of the factors. There's loads of factors taken into account by him and his agents. They're going to be sitting there, right? He could be sitting there right now, but they definitely will be sitting there at the end of the season going, right, what's the pros and cons of either side? If you take away the financials, what they're going to pay you. What are the pros and cons? In Liverpool, like I said before, the factors off the pitch should be resolved by the time we try to appoint somebody properly. The sporting director, technical director, all that stuff should be done, hopefully. So that's irrelevant as it stands for me. On the pitch, there's less problems than there is at Bayern, as I mentioned before. Yeah. In regards to what you just said, like I say, they've been through that many promising managers and experienced managers in a short time. Yes, okay, it's not quite like Chelsea or Man United, but for the Bundesliga, that's quite significant. Its stock is like up here. It's the highest I could ever before. It's the highest it could ever be. It would plummet if he has one bad season in the Bundesliga. He can come to Liverpool and finish fourth, and as long as we have a good cup run, realistically in his first season, as long as we show signs of how he plays and we play good football and we are competitive, still perceived well, and he'll still be well liked by the fans and the owners. And then he's got time. He has not got time at Munich. He has to hit the ground running. And if you have one bad season, and I don't even know where Niko Kovac has gone, by the way. He was one of the brightest talents in the Bundesliga. He's disappeared. I don't even know where he is. I know Nagelsmann's it's Germany's manager at the moment, I think.
Yeah, but he's also leaving at the end of the Euros.
Yeah. So
he's in Wolfsburg at the moment, Niko Kovac.
It was Wolfsburg, yeah. So that's what I mean. Like he did really well at Frankfurt, went to Munich, and he vanished in my eyes. You hear nothing about him. I don't think Alonso wants to do that. Obviously, we don't know exactly what he wants for his career. But if, let's say, he doesn't want to replace Jurgen, he doesn't want to step into those shoes, they're massive shoes. I don't want a manager who doesn't back himself. I don't want a manager who's not confident in his ability to succeed. A great manager. What's the point? Because that means he hasn't got the confidence. He hasn't got the ability in my eyes. I want someone who can come in and believe that they can do it. So it's all posturing. It's all waiting and being patient. We will just have to see what happens. But from a blank canvas, it makes more sense to join us just for the fact of lack of less instability and, like I say, less short-term pressure. Because Jurgen, I know there's different scenarios completely, but Jurgen come in, he finishes 8th, we reach 2 cup finals, and everyone loves him straight away. Yes, I know this is a completely different scenario, but you can do something similar. Not finish 8th, obviously, but realistically, you finish top 4 and do the same thing, and it's you're fine with it. As I said, at Bayern, you have to win. Finishing second, and to be fair, Bayern Munich's points totals is not too bad at this stage of the season. It's just because Leverkusen have been so good.
Yeah.
From what my recollection, yeah. And he's been sacked, but he hasn't been sacked at the same time. He's like, yeah, you've been sacked, but you've got to carry on with your job to the end of the season. It's like, wow, they're brutal. That board is a mess. Yeah, that board is a mess at the moment. It just screams danger signs for an up-and-coming manager. Someone like Ancelotti could walk into that and deal with it because he's been there and done that. As much as Alonso has done a lot in a short space of time, he hasn't dealt with that type of problem. He's walked into stable environments off the pitch by the looks of it. I think Leverkusen are quite well run. They've just had problems on the pitch in terms of success. In terms of resources, quickly, I don't think he minds working with limited resources because that's what he's doing right now. And that's what our owners will like. The fact is, net spend is virtually non-existent, virtually nothing, and he's done wonders. So I think he'd be fine. He'll have more finances as he does now, but he's already got a good squad if he joins us. So I think the choice in our eyes, I know it's biased, but it's plain and simple from our point of view.
No, I think it is, and like you said, this is all speculation. We don't know anything. The thing, it's been so up and down today, like such contrasting opinions that we don't know any more than you guys do. But we will keep you updated. If you follow the LFC Transfer Room on Twitter, very up to date with everything that goes on. So make sure you go do that. And just before we move on as well, everyone, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. We're nearly at, I think, like 10,100, something ridiculous like that. So everyone, give it a go. Yeah, hit the subscribe button and just have fun. Don't even know what I'm saying now. I'm talking waffle, I won't lie. But we're going to move on then. So moving away from Germany, which, I'm sure that's just going to be the topic. It's going to be the new Mbappe coming to Liverpool topic every day, let's be honest. We're going to talk about the current squad at the moment. Now, Klopp has came out. He's discussed the injuries because we've, got more injured players than we do fit players at this moment in time. Just going from it, so Curtis Jones, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Alisson are expected to return either side of the international break. However, Ryan Gravenberch, while he is out of his protective boot, he's definitely ruled out for the next 2 games, and there's no sign of when he is going to be returning to training. And on top of that, Bajtic is back in training as well. He was at the AXA training ground today, so he is back in the squad. Willem, I mean, your thoughts on this? Like, is this... Like I said, Jones, Alisson, Trent, either side of the international break, could be sooner rather than later. But is this better news than you thought it was going to be, or is this just kind of what you expected?
It's more to the point where I kind of expected this anyways. I mean, I had personally already prepared for the fact that they would probably be coming back after the international break, just more purely as well because if you look at the injuries they have, Trent especially with his knee as well, you don't want to rush back a knee injury. I don't see the point unless he is 100% fit why he would play any of the games before the international break, to be fair, because we just run the risk again of it becoming worse and then in maybe 4 weeks he gets injured again and he could be out for months. The same goes obviously for the rest. I mean, it's one of them. I actually thought that probably the person who had the most chance of coming back before the international break was Curtis Jones, but I'm not too sure on that one now. Grav, to be honest, I didn't understand either where the initial diagnosis came from that he would only be out for about 2 or 3 games and then he'd be out because Gravenberch literally got, and I know it's actually nothing relevant to what it was, but I got the exact same injury in the exact same way as Gravenberch got in the final where my ankle just went right to the inside, and it was ligament damage and everything, and I was out for 6 weeks. So I'm not a professional footballer, and I don't have genetics that heal in the same way, obviously, that they do. But I was kind of surprised when that was the initial verdict anyway. So I wasn't expecting many of them to come back. The one person I am clinging on a lot of hope to that he will be back for this weekend is Salah. But from what I've read, was he either back in training today or tomorrow, possibly?
He's back today.
Today, from what I understand, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well that's it. That's been fine. Then we'll see the rest coming in, but he was vital for us to be back this weekend. That's all I really cared about.
Well, just for a bit more on the Gravenberch thing. So Klopp turned around and said it's ligament damage. It could have been much worse, but it's bad enough for him to be ruled out of this game and the next game after that. Then we will see. However, it's now understood that he will return. That a return after the March international break is currently considered the likeliest timeline. So that's very vague. I mean, that could mean he's back in May because it's after the international break. There's no definitive answer, essentially. I mean, Ray, same sort of question for you. And if you want to go through each player and just give your thoughts on when you thought they were going to be back, what your opinions on them were, like how do you take this news? Is it positive in a way, or is it a bit more negative than you thought it was initially?
It's kind of what I expected. I mean, I always looked at this international break with our recent injuries that have happened. You know, I always looked to just get to this international break and then just kind of reassess everything. You know, for the players that were out a little longer, I'd like Salah and Soblasai. I certainly expected to come back sooner than the other guys. But I was just always looking like, man, just get to this international break, just get to it. You know, I know we have tough games coming up. We got City, obviously. That's the main one, but you know, just get through it and then get those guys back. Because again, we don't want to rush even though, it seems like, there's only so much of the season left, we need to get them back. We still don't want to rush them back, given that, Sobasai probably came back a little too early. Salah was kind of forced back in. It just really hurt us a little bit. Of course, the other injuries, like with Curtis and Gravenberg, those were just it happens. You get injured on in game action. And it looked like they kind of had the same injury, really. I mean, that's what I kind of took away from it. Both was their ankle, both was their, they're both in a boot. So Curtis, being back sooner than Gravenberg would kind of be my prediction there. But all players heal differently to injuries. It's all down to their bodies and whatnot. So but it looks like it was kind of a similar ankle type deal. It looked, Trent, Trent's knee injury. I mean, that was maybe a little more serious than I would have thought. I saw that he had that big brace on during the cup final. I'm like, oh, okay, yikes. But that sometimes it's just precautionary. You just want to make sure they're okay, and certainly hopefully no worries with that. And then who was the other one? Alisson, him at the international break as well. There was that clickbait by, I forget who it was, but something that Alisson could be out for the whole year. It was just like a total clickbait thing. I mean, that was just stupid. It's but honestly, the way that some of our injuries have gone, over the years with just kind of with training, and these train injuries pop up, and they're so frustrating because it just seems like they're preventable, right? I mean, they don't have to happen, but they do happen. It's just the most annoying thing ever. And then compounded with the injuries that happen on the pitch, it's just makes for just a really frustrating time. But hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, I mean, that we don't have any more major injuries to anyone, or a knock here or there. The only thing that I can take from these guys kind of sitting out and being with injuries is that they're going to be fresh when they come back and ready for this stretch run. Like, obviously we want them to be back and playing now, but if there's one good thing to come from this, it's like Salah, having a month or two off, and now he can just kind of hit the ground running and not worry about, getting up to fitness and whatnot. Of course, you want to manage the injury, but in terms of once they're back, you just go for it. That's kind of the only thing I can think of, because we were showing some signs, I think, of a little fatigue maybe once we were, getting to it. But in the end, when everyone's fit, we have such a deep squad. We have such a great group of guys. I mean, it really is, a tremendous squad that we've built, but it's just injuries happen. That's part of the game. But just get to this international break, get these guys back, and pray for no injuries over the international break as well. That's always annoying as as can be. But again, this Saturday too, just Sunday, making sure Salah's back as well, and Sobasai, if he's going to be featuring any of these games or whatnot. Of course, Nunez as well. So it's just good to see some of these guys return, some of our attacking options as well, because I think we've really struggled. It's nice to see all these kids getting some game time, but in the end, we need to get our main guys going. I think it's just good to get these guys back, to be honest.
Well, you mentioned and Dean, I'm going to put it on you because you mentioned it before, and nothing is concrete, by the way. I just want to make that abundantly crystal clear. Nothing is concrete. I have just been Googling it and searching it, and I cannot find a thing. But apparently, there's a rumor going around that Kelleher has picked up an injury. Now, I don't know what's true and what's not anymore with everything, but apparently he's had an injury, but Klopp's not commented on it. No one can find anything concrete. I mean, I'll ask you the similar question, give your thoughts on the players, but I want you to explain this Kelleher thing. Like, being honest, if something had happened, would it have not been brought up by Klopp today? And is this just, again, people are seeing, Adrian's the backup. Let's fool everyone into thinking that Kelleher's injured, and this is non-Liverpool fans, just creating stories possibly. Is that just a possibility?
I think either way we'll find out within the next 36 hours if it is true. We will know. It will be briefed out some sort. I don't think we like to play them games. With people thought we were playing games in regards to Salah, Nunez, Szoboszlai for the final. It turned out to be not true. We were just literally honest. It's day by day. It's happening or not happening. End of story. So we would be brutally honest and say, yeah, if he's injured or not. touch wood, I don't think he is. It was just literally one Twitter account with 100 followers turned around and said, "Oh, somebody told me that Callum's pulled up in training," and then nobody reliable has backed it up at all. So hopefully it's not true. Hopefully it's just clickbaiting, and that's that. We won't have our hearts in our mouths for the next few weeks. Yeah, I don't want to see Adrian in goal. He's a nice lad. He's good for the dressing room, but he's not a very good goalkeeper anymore. And that is that in regards to that. Regards to the injuries, I think it was pretty much what we expected, as I said before. The only nice surprise is the prodigal Risson has returned with Chetic. Obviously, it's the wrong time of the season because every game is vital now. So it's like, where'd you get game time? Granted, you could probably get 10, 15 minutes here and there in the Europa League subs. So they're still going to be very careful because he played, 25 minutes or half an hour in the first game, came back, and he's been out for about 4 or 5 months. So hopefully they'll be careful and hopefully just take the time with him. Because as it stands, we're okay. Touch wood again in regards to injuries in that area. Curtis Jones, I reckon, will be the first one back after that lot you mentioned because it seemed to be the less severe injury. It's still high ankle sprain, it's still severe enough, but it's not the same time as a proper muscle injury, is it? Or ligaments. It's just to see how it heals, how it rests, and hopefully he's a quick healer and he'll be back. Whether it is for the United game just before the international break or it's the first game after the international break, we'll wait and see. Alisson, I was quite surprised about, not going to lie, because I swear it was briefed out he was only missing most of the running by Paul Joyce a few days ago. So hopefully it's not as severe as he actually thought. Hopefully it does come back a couple of weeks after the international break. Gravenberch makes sense. We're about 5 weeks from his injury after the international break. About 5 to 6 weeks, as you mentioned, Willem, that makes sense. So hopefully soon after the international break he'll be back. I think that covers everybody. Hopefully Salah will be back for Sunday. Hopefully, I would like to get him some minutes Thursday, in all honesty, just to get some rhythm. I saw David Lynch talking about the game Thursday. They were on about rotation and whatnot. But he's like, I don't see much rotation because you want players to have rhythm for Sunday. There will be some, naturally, and you do have to be wary for injuries, but you do need them players in a cycle, in a rhythm, ready to go. So, yeah, it's a positive one because no one's been ruled out for the season, but we would like to have them lads back because we need them for every game. We want our bench, our team to be the strongest it can be. As we saw last night, Arsenal were out up our arses, aren't they? And City are City. So we just take game by game. I can fully believe why Klopp does that now because it used to wind me up about managers. Oh, it's all about the next game. It's like, oh, you don't want to think about the next game. So think about 2 weeks' time when you got Man United at home or away. Don't want to think about Sheffield United at home now. It's like, yeah, actually, no, it makes sense. After all these injuries, you can't plan ahead. You really can't. So you don't know who's going to be available in a couple of weeks. You only know who's going to be available now. So, like I say, game by game, we've got 4 games left of the international break, 4 big ones. You got the Europa League. Hopefully, we make it as easy as it should be. I know it's not going to be 100% easy. They don't lose very often. I think they've only lost once this season, Sparta, but it's the Czech league. So let's hopefully we just do what we need to do and then get to that City game.
They drew the last game, and that was their derby in their league, and that they drew that. So they're on. I mean, like you had said it perfectly there. Like we need to make this as easy as it is. No offense to Sparta, but it's like. I suppose, Willem, I'll get this on to you as a follow-on. Like, is there an argument to say that maybe for that first leg, we just play like the same sort of team that we did at Southampton, rest a lot of the players for the Man City game. Once that's out the way, then for the return leg, we can bring the big boys in and like blow them out of the water. Like, is that a possible strategy that we could see?
I mean, personally, it would have my preference because I remember I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if it was our group chat or another group chat I'm in with a couple of Liverpool fans, but I did put out in a lineup where I was like, I wouldn't even start Keller, I would start Adrian, I would put everyone who's normally our bench option, I would put him on the pitch, and I even said because we don't have a backup right back right now, because I'd be putting Gomez at centre back so that no Virgil Canate has to pull. I mean, screw it, give Blenders a game at right back. I don't know, just give someone. But then for the rest, I'd actually start as many of the kids and of our bench options, and then whilst we get into the 55th, 60th minute of the game, is where I'd start bringing on Nunes, Szoboszlai, Salah, all the guys who are also just coming back from injury, just so they get that extra bit of rhythm coming into it. I, for example, do not want to see Endo or McAllister even near the pitch on this game. I really want to save them too, because they are so important for us, especially with just the lack of extra midfielders we have right now, and how they have been carrying us in midfield in these bigger games. So yeah, I am actually more of an advocate of not really starting our starters for this Thursday, but more, and then just gradually bringing them into the game, just so that we can have as many people available on Sunday as possible.
Well, apparently it's BS. This is the Kelleher thing. Started by some unknown guy with a very small following. I don't remember tweeting anything about.
He
Kelleher
deleted
on
his
my
account,
video, so.
by the way, right after it. So
Oh, did he?
it broke during my lunch break, so I started going onto investigating mode on Twitter, and then I saw at one point somebody had retweeted it, and then you just saw the tweet's not available because the author has deleted their account. So I reckon it's someone who probably just started the account, got a blue tick on there, thought, oh, could get some monetization coming in and get some controversial stuff out, and that's probably the reason why everyone shat themselves for about 15 minutes.
Honestly, these people who will talk about Liverpool for a little, it's disgusting, honestly. Like, I agree with what you said. I think it probably just is just someone who's looking for a quick click, and that's it, done.
How dare these people get on a social media platform and talk about Liverpool? How
dare these people sit here and talk absolute wham about Liverpool? This is disgusting, honestly. Fine. Bastards. Kelleher's been injured is 100% clickbait, but we still need to play Adrian Thursday. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Race, I'll get the same sort of opinion off you. Like, if Adrian, he's in this team to play. Let's be honest. I know we've got a conception of Adrian, but as a third choice keeper, I'd rather him than say like a Scott Carson, something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could be in a much worse situation. Is this his game to play on Thursday, given that we know Alisson's going to be out for a good few weeks still, and Kelleher, while it is clickbait, sorry, but there is still that chance that he could get an injury. So is it worth just playing Adrian in this game as the pure starter?
No, I still start Kelleher. I think really for a goalkeeper, just to not play someone just because you're scared of risk of injury, I think is like diminishing. Like, he's a professional. Like, you put him out there, you play him. You don't manage scared. You don't especially if you're a goalkeeper. Like, it's I mean, look, you can say, oh, he could get injured, he could not. Well, it's coulda, woulda, shoulda. I mean, I'm not of the belief of I mean, that's kind of like a move I do, like if I'm in managing my career mode in FIFA or something like that. Like, I would, if my player's injury bar's down a little bit, then I'll throw the young goalkeeper in there, my third choice. But it's these are professionals. I mean, you put them out there, you say, hey man, go do your job. You are our number one right now. Our goalkeeper until Alisson gets back. So you're playing every game, you're playing every minute. I don't know why Adrian, even go back to the summer, why he was retained. He takes away a foreign spot, it's for third choice. I mean, I don't know why to begin with we even gave him an extension, to keep him around. But
apparently the main reason going around is that we wanted Pitaluga to be the third choice, but he didn't feel he was quite ready, so we kept Adrian for this season just so he could go out on loan and develop a bit more.
Yeah, and certainly that that makes sense there. But I'm not of the belief of just benching Kelleher for a game, even though it's a game that where I'm kind of with Willem too. Like, it's a game where you kind of you don't put every single first team player out there. You're obviously looking ahead to the City game on Sunday, so you look at the second leg as that's the game to attack and really go after it. And then you slowly bring some players on, try to get a goal, make it 1-0 or something like that. Get that goal advantage coming back to your home field. But not for the goalkeeper. It's Kelleher. It's I'm running him into the ground. I mean, that's why you have a backup goalkeeper as good as Kelleher. Like, you don't just all of a sudden get scared to play him because you think he can get an injury. Like, that would be doing him a disservice. Like, no, you are our number 2. We have all the faith in the world. When our number 1 is out, you're going to play every minute that Alisson isn't in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. Like, I can see definitely both arguments. I think, like, the more I'm thinking on it, so there's a good comment here. Sparta Prague are no walkover, 60 points won from a possible 69. They're the current champions and lead the league by 4 points over Slavia Prague, and they've won 10 of their last 12 games, including a win against Real Betis. So maybe you have got a good point. I mean, Dean, you talked about your squad sort of before, but I'll ask the same sort of question I asked Willem. Like, if this is the game to play the kids, like, would you primarily play the kids in this game just to rest the main players, or do you think this could be a sort of get the big players out there early on, if possible, blow them out the water, and then rest them for the return leg and for the second half of this, not second half, but the last like 30 minutes?
I personally think whatever side we put out will be a strong side. I don't think it's going to be like Southampton. I don't think it's going to be that, not going to say weak, but that heavily rotated, let's say. I think Kelleher definitely starts, barring if he's 100% fit, he starts. Let's be honest, it'll all depend on how long Alisson is out for. Let's say Alisson's out to early April. He's probably got, 5-6 games left before Alisson's back. So he'll want to play every game he can, because that makes sense, as long as he's 100% fit. I do think you'll get some rotation. I think Tsimikas would come in straight away. No qualms with that. Kwanzaa will start, get 90 minutes. No qualms with that. Full on Steve Virgil getting half a game like we did against Southampton. That's fine. I won't be surprised if Gomez plays in the holding role and then gets subbed. If Bradley gets subbed, then he moves to right back, and then we put Endo or McAllister in for half a game. I can see that happening. Like I said, we start with a weaker squad or weaker team, and then we rotate a couple of guys in, sub them in. The bench will be used heavily. It makes sense. Utilize it where you can. So I wouldn't be surprised if Clark and maybe even Dan's starts, and then you bring Nunes on. It could very well happen. We'll just have to see what Jurgen does. But you can't go 2 weeks, because let's say you start the C team, let's say, like you put all the kids on and you 3-0 down. It's like, yes, okay, you can still battle Liverpool to turn that around, but you don't want to build a mountain for the second leg, because then you'd be saying, oh, we got Man United on Sunday, we got to rotate. Well, you can't do it again. So I think the idea is just get a positive result. It might not be to blow the team away. It'd be nice if you do, but it's unlikely because, as we mentioned before, the form's really good. Yes, it's not a strong league, but they're still causing problems. If you beat Real Betis, they're a decent side, so they can cause problems, especially at home. So it'd be rotated, but I can't see wholesale changes because, like I say, rhythm, and you don't want to make yourself a bigger challenge next week. You want to make next week easier, where you can rotate a bit more because you are at home. So for me, there'd be some rotation in key areas, and obviously manage your fitness levels and whatnot, especially with the lads who've just come back. But you still put a strong side out because it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. We can't, like you mentioned, we can't take this too lightly. One other thing, perhaps for another time, but has anyone seen the new setup for the Champions League? Yeah, I can't say the word because we'll get demonetized, but yeah, it's up there with one of the worst decisions ever. I can't argue with that. Might be a bit dramatic, but yeah. Yeah, so just to carry on, not to finish off, but like just to the last topic, like we're going to go back to the sort of the rumor mill. More unconfirmed stuff, more rumors, more people saying things. So, according to reports, this part is genuine. Richard Hughes is set to leave as the technical director of Bournemouth. He's been their technical director since 2016. He's been involved in transfers there. He's brought in players like Aaron Ramsdale, Nathan Ake, brought in Jermaine Defoe, Sinistera, Tyler Adams, like Dominic Solanke, a lot of really, really good, talented players. Apparently, the reports are we're interested. And Willem, I mean, I'll give you the first crack at this one. Is this, he is friends with Michael Edwards. Is this a case of we could be genuinely looking at him? Or is it just a case of people have got 1 and 1 and got 3 by going, he's Michael Edwards' friend. We apparently want Michael Edwards. we must want Richard Hughes as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if we would get a recommendation from Michael Edwards coming in, because as much as I would absolutely adore Michael Edwards coming back, I think when the news came out of us going back in for him, I think I was one of the first ones saying I don't get why we would, because he was very clear already in the past when we did go back in for him, that he was just not going to come back to it. And obviously with him having set up his new business as well, along with I forgot the name now at one point, but I'll get back to it. Also with his business venture now being set up, I just didn't really see how he would all of a sudden come back, unless, which would be the other option coming in as well, but I just, again, don't really see it happening, unless it would be a combination where Richard Hughes would be made the sporting director and Michael Edwards would essentially be made almost a director of football, to be put in that role, even where he's just one step even higher. I think, at least if that's a role higher than the other one. I'm not going to pretend to know which one in the hierarchy is higher than the other one. I'm not too informed on that bit. That could possibly be the reason for it. Honestly, I could also just see us going for him, because from his track record, what he's proven at Bournemouth, it's very similar to it. I think he's someone who's very open to work with our way that we do that side of the business. So very data oriented, really looking statistically what would fit the club a lot, looking at the profile of the person as well. It could be a case of adding 1 and 1 and saying, oh, this is exactly why he's leaving Bournemouth. This is why he's coming in. It could also be complete rubbish, but it's not. To put it this way, it's definitely not a rumor where I'm opposed to anything. I think it would be a good fit for the club, but there's just no way of knowing.
Yeah, and Race, I mean, that is true. We have no way of knowing. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I know about as much as a fish. Like, I don't know what's going on. In your opinion, like, Willem mentioned the data-driven approach, and we've been linked to Max Spearman in the past. We've been linked to all these different sporting directors who operate on a budget and who are data-driven sporting directors, technical directors. Is there an ideal target for you? And say this is like real, this whole Rich Hughes, Michael Edwards situation. I mean, is that the way to go forward, going back in a sense?
That's hard to say. I don't have any specific candidates myself picked out. I would be fine with bringing Michael Edwards back. It's just interesting to, just kind of the logistics of that move and just kind of how things would transpire in that. Someone leaving the club and they come back. Just kind of the dynamic of that is a little interesting. But if all parties are kind of resolved and put things behind them, it's certainly a move I'd welcome. And as you mentioned too, just kind of the way we doing business with, kind of the scouting and the analytics part of it, and just kind of all the advanced stuff, we know that, we sometimes operate on a budget and aren't spending the big money. And honestly, that's how, most clubs want to operate. You don't want to spend the big money. You want to find those diamonds in the rough, develop those players and turn them into, world-class players, or if, at the very least, flip them for a profit. But we're not a selling club. We're not looking to do that. We're looking to bring in players and then develop them into world-class players so that, we can obviously reap the benefits of that. And so just as long as whoever we bring in is just of that mindset, they're of someone who's able to identify, not necessarily the younger talents, kind of like how Brighton do, like really younger talents, like, 19, 20 years old, and then develop them on. Like, we're looking for a little more, 23, 24, kind of in that range, players starting to enter their prime, showing promise at, top level competition in the top 5 leagues and whatnot, or doing really well elsewhere. It's being able to identify those targets, or even players like, kind of like Luis Diaz, coming from the Portuguese league, or Gakpo from the Dutch league, those types of moves, and not just kind of succumbing to, whatever the hot name prospect is out there. Like, I'm trying to think of who's kind of the youngster that's going to make a move this summer, every big club is interested in, just kind of not falling into that trap. I feel like Manchester United kind of follow into that sometimes, like going to get Antony, going to get Højlund, it's just like, oh, it's a big name player, tons of clubs interested. Who does he spend the most money? Well, we are, here you go. And then they bring him in, and it's kind of like, it's a good signing, you think, but then it doesn't always work out, or it takes a lot of time. We seem to do our business. We're getting these other players that maybe not a lot of teams are interested in, under the radar stuff. So I like that aspect of business that we do. Of course, I'd like to see us spend some more money sometimes with other players, but we certainly do our business a certain way, and it's worked for a number of years. So Michael Edwards has done that with us. So I think it would be just, as long as we're able to maintain that sort of recruitment and way of bringing in players, I'd be confident in that direction that we head in.
Yeah, just, like, trust the process, I suppose, is the sort of the term. And Dean, this is a good one actually that Paul's brought up. We need to move on from Edwards. If we have to force him to return by offering him over the top power and control, it may not end well. Like, he's not going for the sporting director role. Apparently, the rumours or the reports that we're offering him like full control. Richard Hughes would then come in as the technical director beneath him. Like, is there a point to be made for that? Like, if we were to say to Edwards, here, have this, there might sort of become that mindset of, I've got this club by the balls, essentially. Like, I can do what I want here. I've got the power to do what I please. I mean, could that end badly in a sense?
It could do, but you have to bear in mind these owners and these staff have worked with him during the most successful period the club's had in recent times. They know him well enough. He was there for a hell of a long time under FSG, so I think they know him well enough not to try to screw the club over. To be fair, he deserves more power. He was one of the best sporting directors ever, in the game in the time he was at Liverpool. So you can understand the willingness to try to get him back in at all costs. It's almost like that Simpsons meme of where he's like, please, 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 come on, I'll be your friend if you come back. And it could be a case of now he doesn't want to, and it's like, right, what's the next best option? What's your recommendation then? And this could be the case with this guy from Bournemouth. Or in an ideal world, we have both in two different roles. That would be ideal world. What was his name again? Is it Hughes? Second name Hughes.
Hughes.
Yeah, he fits the criteria. We want someone who's not on gardening leave, so he doesn't have that. So he won't be employed by the end of the season. We won't have to pay anything, and like I say, he won't have to spend time off. In regards to the transfers, that's already been drawn up apparently by Fellows and I remember the other one. Basically, the data handlers, the transfers have been done. As in, targets are there, they'll be passed on, but this worry about, we haven't got a director of football, sporting director, it means we won't get any transfers done. It's not the case. They'll just be passed the list and you deal with the manager. So we're very much looking for the future rather than the now, which is ideal. He's highly respected behind the scenes, apparently, at a load of clubs. He's got good relationships with a lot of clubs, which is ideal. And apparently, media in Italy saying he's our number one choice. And the reason why I'm saying about Italy, some people have raised their eyebrows, why would that matter? It's because Roma are interested as well. Roma wants him as well. So if they're hearing that Liverpool want him more, he is the top candidate, maybe indicates that he would be willing to come to us as well. Bournemouth would rather him obviously go abroad because he's out of their hair completely. But if he's out of contract or if he's completely let go, he can do what he wants. So I'd take him, not just for the fact of he is highly recognised in the industry. There isn't many other options in terms of availability, because I know we talked about the West Ham one, but he'd have to go on gardening leave or he'd have to pay a lot of money out. Leverkusen's as well, same thing. I don't think we would do it. So if this one is under the recommendation of Michael Edwards, or if it is to do with Michael Edwards returning in another capacity, you've got to be all for it, and you've got to trust us to make the right decision, because typically in regards to the staff, we do that. In regards to the structure, you mentioned about going backwards to go forwards. Well, it's going to be different because Klopp has so much power at the club. Rightfully so, he's earned it. The new manager is going to be an up-and-coming manager regardless if it's Alonso or not. So they need to have less power initially. They've got to earn that. So having a respected figure to come in and have some of that power back is going to be important.
Well, I mean, the last thing before we go, like you mentioned there that Roma are interested in him. Well, another team that's also looking for a sporting director and are in a bit of a turmoil position is Newcastle. And apparently Eddie Howe was the one who promoted Richard Hughes to this position back in 2014. So there's also that connection there that could be a bit of a factor into it. I mean, Yeah, like I said, today has been very, bar the injuries, everything's so up in the air. It's all very hearsay at the moment. We don't know what's going on. We don't know who's going to come in, who's going to go out. And it is just going to be one of those things where you just have to tune in. We're just going to have to keep an eye on everything as we go. Best place to do it is follow us on Twitter. Daily updates, like a lot daily. Thomas Tuchel is apparently interested in Liverpool. I don't. No, I'm okay. Thank you. No, thank you. I mean, anyone.
I'm interested in Dua Lipa. It's not happening, is it? So.
I think that's the perfect way to let it go. Right. We are going to shoot, guys. Just a reminder, if you are new around here, or even if you're not and you're just watching like freeloaders without doing so, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Daily stream, 7:30 p.m. UK time, 2 a.m. UK time on Tuesday for the American audience. Go check out our latest videos. There's another expert analysis video coming out in a day or so, or whenever it's going to be in the next couple of days. No pressure, Luke. That wasn't me putting pressure on you to edit it, I promise. Whenever it comes out. And yeah, just everyone make sure to hit like and subscribe. Just before we go, can I get a big thank you in the chat for Willem, Race, and Dean? Big thank you for coming on tonight. Been absolutely outstanding having you on for all your details. Apparently, I'm a Champions League winner. Oh, Tuchel. Oh, so.
Go to bed, Lou. Go to bed, for God's sake.
I have been awake since like 5:15. I am so tired. Right. I'm going to let you go, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for everyone for coming on the stream. It's been really appreciated. And we will see you in the next one tomorrow.